Good evening, students. In the previous class, we have studied about the method of preparation of ether. So today we will study about the physical and chemical properties of ether. So regarding the physical properties of ether, the first property we will study is its physical state. So most of the ethers, they are actually in the form of liquid, right? Apart from dimethyl ether. Dimethyl ether, and the other one is methyl ethyl ether. Methyl ethyl ether. These two are gases, others are liquids. Mostly they are liquids, and they have a characteristic smell which is known as ethereal smell, right? So that is about their physical state. Now come to the second point, that is the electronic structure of ethers. So as you have studied about the alcohols, that they have inverted V-shape structure. So same is for ether. Here ether, it is bounded to the oxygen atom. Here this oxygen is sp3 hybridized, and it is bonded to two alkyl groups, and there are two lone pair of electrons present here in two of the sp3 hybridized orbitals. So as you assume, in the case of alcohol, due to this lone pair repulsion and this lone pair repulsion, this bond angle should be reduced than the normal tetrahedral angle. It should be less than 109 degree 28 minutes. But students, what happens here, that the steric hindrance between these two alkyl groups, right, it is more than the lone pair repulsion. Hence the bond angle, it is expanded. Instead of reducing, it is expanded little, and it is 111.8 degree. It is more than the normal 111.7 or 8, right? It is more than the normal tetrahedral angle. So that is about the electronic structure. Now let us come to the third point, that is boiling point. You have studied in the case of alcohol that the alcohols have higher boiling point than the corresponding alkanes, but in the case of these ethers, the boiling point is comparable to the boiling point of alkanes. This is due to the absence of intermolecular hydrogen bonding in ether. There is no intermolecular bonding present between the ether molecules due to the steric hindrance by the alkyl group. Hence they have low boiling, means lower boiling point than the alcohol, but comparable to that of alkanes. Now next we will study about its solubility. So most of the ethers, they are soluble in water, right? Soluble in water. And why they are soluble in water? Because they are capable of forming hydrogen bond with water. See, they are capable of forming hydrogen bond with water. Since it can form the hydrogen bond with water, it is soluble in water. Got it? So most of them are soluble, but as this alkyl group will increase, you know that the hydrophobic end will increase and the solubility of ethers in water will decrease. The boiling point also has the same trend. As you increase the molecular mass, boiling point will increase. As the branching increase, the boiling point will decrease, right? Now let us come to the chemical properties of ethers. In ethers, you will study only one chemical property, but there are so many exceptional cases in that property only. In this chemical property, it is reaction with hydrogen halides. Among hydrogen halides, the reaction with ether, because ethers are very unreactive compounds, they are very less reactive due to the stable RO bond, right? Therefore they will react only under the drastic conditions. So it generally reacts only with hydrogen iodide or hydrogen bromic acid, hydroiodic acid or hydrobromic acid, right? The reactivity is HI is most reactive, then HBr, then HCl. This is due to the less bond dissociation enthalpy of HI. HI can be broken easily, hence it can donate the proton easily. Therefore it is most reactive than HBr, and with HCl the reactivity will be under very drastic conditions, right? Now how the reaction take place? The reaction take place in two steps. See, what happens in the first step, this ether, when it reacts with hydroiodic acid, then first of all we get alcohol. This alcohol is formed along with alkyl iodide, right? But if you are taking hydroiodic acid in excess, then the alcohol which is formed in the first step, this will further react with hydroiodic acid, and it will liberate the molecule of water from here, and you will get one more molecule of iodoalkane or alkyl iodide. So the net reaction is that when ether reacts with two molecule of hydrogen iodide or hydroiodic acid, then you get two molecules of iodoalkane and water, right? But this happens when you are taking hydroiodic acid in excess. This is hydroiodic acid or hydrogen iodide, and the temperature should be elevated temperature, that is 373 Kelvin temperature. Then it happens. Otherwise the reaction stops here only. If it is not in excess, it is in small amount and the temperature is also low, then only the first reaction take place. Understood? Now let us see the mechanism of this reaction. Let us first see example of this reaction. Suppose you have diethyl ether and you react it with hydroiodic acid. Then first, in the first step, suppose it is in the small amount, then you will get here ethanol and iodoethane. Ethanol and iodoethane will be formed. But if it is in excess, hydroiodic acid is in excess, then this ethanol which is formed here, it will further react with hydroiodic acid, water will be liberated and iodoethane will be formed. So you will get two molecules of iodoethane when the temperature is 373 Kelvin and you have hydroiodic acid in excess, right? Then you will get two molecules of iodoalkane. Understood? Now if you have an unsymmetrical ether, such as you have methyl ethyl ether, right? That is methoxyethane, and you react it with HI. I am talking about dilute and cold solution, means it is in a small amount, not in excess, and at a lower temperature. Then this I will go with the smaller alkyl group and you will get here C2H5OH plus CH3I. That is ethanol and iodoethane will be formed. So iodo group always go with the smaller alkyl group and the alcohol is made out of a higher alkyl group, right? Why this happen, we will study with the help of mechanism. So next we will study about the mechanism of the reaction, right? The mechanism take place in the following step, where the step 1 is protonation of ether. Right, so we are doing the reaction in the presence of hydroiodic acid. It splits to give you hydrogen ion and iodide ion. Now this hydrogen ion, let us take one symmetrical ether first. It will attack on this ether. Now this ether has a nucleophilic center because oxygen contains two lone pair, so it will donate the lone pair to the proton and you will get here protonated ether. So protonated ether will be formed in the first step. This is protonated ether. Right, now come to the step 2. In step 2, at this protonated ether, nucleophilic attack of I- take place, right? So nucleophilic attack is a second step. So on this protonated ether, I minus will attack. It will attack to, now you see here, if suppose there are two different groups, right, then this I minus cannot attack the bulky group because of the steric hindrance. Here both are same, this is symmetrical ether, but if suppose one is smaller and the other one is larger, naturally due to steric hindrance this nucleophile will attack the smaller group, and we will get here iodoethane and alcohol will be formed. So iodoethane and alcohol will be formed. Understood? So this is step 2, and this is happening when you have the hydroiodic acid in a small amount and the temperature is also kept low. Now when the temperature is higher and we have excess of hydroiodic acid, then what happens? Then further the reaction proceeds. The alcohol which is formed here, it will further involve in the reaction, and step 3 will take place, and the step 3 will be protonation of instead of ether, now alcohol protonation will take place, right? From Hi only proton will be donated, and the alcohol which is formed in the first step, it has nucleophilic center due to the presence of oxygen, lone pair on oxygen. So further the same will happen, the lone pair of electrons on the oxygen will be donated to the proton, and we will get here protonated alcohol. So protonated alcohol will be formed in the step 3, and again in the step 4 nucleophilic attack. In the step 4 again nucleophilic attack will take place. So on this protonated alcohol, I minus will attack, and it will attack on this carbon, so water will be liberated and iodoalkane will be formed. So iodoalkane is the final product formed, and we will get one molecule of water. So this is how 4 steps will be there when there is excess of hydroiodic acid, but when we have limited amount of hydroiodic acid, then there will be only 2 steps. Now there are certain limitations. As the first limitation I have told you, that if we have unsymmetrical ether, in that case the alkyl group will go with the smaller alkyl group, right? The iodide group will go with smaller alkyl group, such as, let us take example. If suppose we have this isopropyl methyl ether and we react it with hydrogen iodide, right? See, if we suppose it is in excess, then in both the cases alkyl iodide will be formed, but the condition will be applied only when it is in limited amount. Then one is alcohol, the other one is alkyl iodide. Then we have to decide which will form the alcohol and from where the bond will break, from here or here, right? So one will be alcohol, the other will be iodoalkane. So in this case, when we have unsymmetrical ether and we have limited amount of Hi, in that case the iodo group will go with smaller alkyl group. So this will go with the iodide ion, and we will get here isopropyl alcohol and iodomethane. Understood? The iodo group will go, iodide ion will go with the smaller alkyl group, and the alcohol will go with secondary or tertiary alkyl group, right? This is because iodide ion in the second step can attack the smaller alkyl group due to steric hindrance. The first limitation. Now the second limitation. Suppose you have alkyl aryl ether, such as this is anisole. aryl alkyl ether or aromatic ether where one is the aromatic group, right? Now in this case, if you react it with HI, then from where the reaction take place. So you know that when we have an aryl alkyl ether, this is OC6H5 group, OC6H5 bond, and this is OCH3 bond. Now you know that due to the resonance, this bond, it has partial double bond character, right? Due to the resonance, this bond will have partial double bond character, and this carbon is also sp2 hybridized, therefore more electronegative. Hence we cannot break this bond easily. Only this bond can be easily broken. It means you will always get one phenol and the other one iodoalkane. Whichever the alkyl group is there, corresponding to that iodoalkane will be formed, but this OC6H5 bond will not be cleaved and we will get phenol. This is second limitation. The third limitation, if suppose one of the alkyl group, it is tertiary alkyl group, such as this is methyl tertiary butyl ether, and here you react it with hydroiodic acid. In this case, children, the reverse will take place. Though the iodo group should go with the smaller alkyl group, but here it doesn't go with the smaller alkyl group. Here it goes with the tertiary alkyl group, and we will get here tertiary butyl iodide and methanol. Now you will ask why this happened. Because of the steric hindrance, iodo group should have not reacted with the tertiary alkyl group. Then why it is happening? Now this is due to the change in the mechanism. See, in all the cases in previous one, when we were doing the step 2, then during the attack, a nucleophilic attack, the reaction was SN2 reaction, right? The iodide ion and the protonated ether both are involved in the same reaction. But when there is one tertiary alkyl group, in that case the reaction take place by SN1 mechanism. After the formation of, suppose this is your ether, and its protonation will take place, right? And it will form protonated ether. This is the step 1. Now in the step 2, the step 2 becomes SN1. It will follow SN1 mechanism due to the bulky tertiary alkyl group. This is slow reaction, right? And the bond will cleave here. Why it will cleave here? Why it will not cleave here? Because if it will cleave here, we will get primary carbocation. But if it is cleaving here, we will get tertiary carbocation. The stability of tertiary carbocation is more than the primary carbocation. You know this very well. So we will get here tertiary carbocation and CH3OH. From here the bond will be broken. The reaction will follow SN1 reaction mechanism, right? And then this tertiary carbocation, it will be attacked by the I- to give you the desired product, that is alkyl iodide. Here tertiary butyl iodide. So when one of the group is tertiary alkyl group, then we will get the tertiary alkyl iodide and alcohol. Understood? So these 3 limitations of the reactions you remember. In the next class we will study about the electrophilic substitution reaction in aromatic ethers. Till then, goodbye.